Hey, this is Gabe. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be making a Stryper inspired Rickenbacker guitar pen, very similar to this, like the previous one that I made, that I just posted a couple weeks back. And it's going to follow the same design pattern like this for the lower. The upper, we're going to do something completely different. And instead of using rosewood and maple for the frets, I'm going to be using the aluminum like before, but I'm going to be using ebony for the fretboard. And this is just a sacrificial block. This is just some scrap zebra that I have glued on the bottom. And I am going to be using Osage orange on the bottom side once I get all the work done here on top. Okay, so off camera, I started cutting some holes or grooves for this right here, and I'm using my pull saw, Japanese pull saw, and I've got these pieces of aluminum that I'm using for my inserts for my frets. And that line right there from the pencil, that's where I'm going to cut this off afterwards. The scrap zebra is merely to hold this in the vise like that. And if you look at my vise, you can see where I've hit it with the saw several times, so I don't want to do that anymore. Because I'm just using my Japanese pull saw, using the fine teeth to start the cut, and then I flip it over to the coarse teeth to rip it all the way through. And you can see my line right there. On the other side, I'm just using my fingers to align that cut. Once I got a little start on it, I flip it over. I'm just taking a piece of aluminum, shove it in there. It fits in there perfectly. As you can see, make sure all that's seated all the way across. Then I will just flood that blank with some thin CA and then let it do its magic. And then we'll come back and cut the slots for the markers next. Okay, now that we have our markers drawn in, every other one, I want a little bit of a gap on this side of the aluminum fret insert that I put there, and like around a 1/16 of an inch or so. Just like before, I want to start it with the fine teeth, holding my finger as just a visual, and you can kind of see that right there. Thicker than this, the blade, and I want it to be the same front and back if at all possible. Now flip it over to the coarse teeth. The same gap over here on this side. We want to go right to that tip just like before. You can see that right there. Starting with the fine teeth. You can kind of see how that's going to look. Okay, so I'm going to break out the chisel. Tap that out, very nice. Plan B always works. Clean that out, and then we'll just repeat the same process all the way across. All right, that only took about 10 minutes, so that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. We just need to cut the aqua pearl acrylic to fit inside there. So from the last pin I made, I already marked this stuff right here, the aqua pearl. So I'm just going to use the same marks, and I only need 3 pieces this time. And you can see, even though these look kind of small, these are still a little bit oversized, which is good, because once we get these cut, you need to make allowances for the saw kerf. And then once that is done, then they need to be fitted exactly right individually. That's a little bit of a process with the disc sander and a pair of channel locks holding on to that right there like that. So as you can see, I have it split down the middle, which I cut on the bandsaw like that right there. And that way I could get each cut this way here is actually equivalent to 2 pieces. So this would be 4. So I'm going to cut this this way at an angle, 90 at an angle, and then a 90. And then hopefully that's enough, as long as I don't make any mistakes. Last time pin I made several mistakes, so I went through quite a bit of these. Anyway, we'll go ahead and do that part next. Okay, and you can see how that's basically going to work like that. So now we just need to clean those up with the disc sander. That's a little thin, so I probably want to try that one over there first. So like so on and so forth. All right, at the disc sander here, I've got one of the wedges, pair of channel locks. Best way to do it, to keep your fingers away from that. First things first is flatten out the back, and then we'll work on the angle for the front. That took about 6 minutes of fidgeting back and forth, and then just need to do the same thing with the other 2. All right, these are in. I haven't glued them in yet, and you can see there's a bit of a gap under each of those, and that's fine because I'm going to cut this off at the bottom anyway and sand it flush before I attach it to this piece of Osage orange. So that's going to be like that. And to glue this, I am just going to use, oops, not that one. I'm going to use some thin CA. I got another bottle coming, so that one's almost empty. I'm just going to flood the blank. And I'm going to add some on top also. just to be sure that gets in there and penetrates. Then we'll take that to the disc sander. I'll smooth that out, and then the bandsaw, and then cut off the bottom, and then we'll come back after all that is done. All right, you can see what that looks like. That looks pretty good, sanded out really nice. And ebony and that aqua pearl and the aluminum is really that's really gonna jump out those markers now. On top of the Osage orange, like that. I'm just gonna use some of this Gorilla Glue. Now you can see this is the bottom side right here. This is the middle, and this is the middle. Normally I put on gloves, but today I forgot to. All right, you can see what that looks like, or is going to look like. And this is going to be the tip right here. So plenty of extra meat to work with on the end. This is the lower tube. I painted that white, and or actually it's this one. So you can see it's pretty much the right length. Just a little bit of meat left over, not very much. I painted that white because the brass under that aqua pearl will make that aqua pearl look yellow. So last pen I did, I put 2 coats on, and it made it really difficult to push that in once the hole was drilled out. So I'm just only putting on 1 coat instead. So anyway, that is it for the lower part of this pen, and then next we'll concentrate on the upper. This is where all the fun starts, and you can see this is the bottom, and this is the bottom here. This is the middle. So I want that grain, just like on a regular pen, to match up correctly. So this is all part of putting this all together just like you would a regular pen. So the process is the same, just take your time and enjoy the process. All right, so I marked some lines here, and I want to keep this is going to be the top, this is the bottom here that's going to match with the back side of the frets. So I want to cut out the middle, and I'm going to work on the middle part next. So at the bandsaw, I'm going to cut just on each side of one of those lines. Okay, so I'm just going to clean up the outside edges on the disc sander, so we'll make those nice and even and parallel next, and we'll come right back. All right, so for the middle, I want to stack this up in layers. This is the bottom. This is the bottom of the upper. So this is going to be like this. I'm going to place a piece of black veneer, black dyed veneer, in there like that. And then I want to take all these little pieces. These are close to an inch, about 7/8 long, all various thicknesses. I went from thicker Osage orange on one end and thicker ebony on the other, and then varied back and forth each direction. And then I'm going to take that. On the back side, you can see those are all pretty smooth. So I want to take this, just drop that on there, and get it, arranged fairly neatly. Doesn't have to be perfect, but perfect would be better. And I'm just going to flood the blank with some thin CA, or flood that, not blank, but that piece with some thin CA, and then squeeze it. There we go, that worked. Now it's gonna grip that veneer on the backside, but that's okay. I can sand that off and sand it flush. And you see how that looks right there. See how that looks on the back, so I'm just gonna sand all that off and sand this level also, just like we did over here. And then I will put another layer of veneer, top and bottom. And then when I get that done, I will come right back. All right, you can see we got that done. A few minutes of sanding behind the scenes, not a big deal. This is going to get sandwiched between a couple pieces of veneer. This is right here like this, and you can kind of see what's going to happen right there like that. And then the top one goes on here. So next we have to work on what we're going to do here for the top. All right, so I just quickly sketched this out, and I want to make the 3/7 predominant in the upper part of the pen, and I'm going to keep the Osage orange on top, the bottom, and then I'm going to cut out the middle, and then cut around the 7s right here on both sides. And then those 3/7 will be one piece. So for that, we are going to go to the bandsaw next. Okay, now I'm just going to clean these up with a file off camera real quick. Okay, so that was about 10 minutes of filing. Not exactly perfect on each one of those, but you get the basic idea. You see these little micro files, and anyway, that's what that's going to look like, and then we'll start building this up next. All right, so for our blank, this is the bottom here, that's the middle, that's already been glued together. This is going to get positioned like that. One of these is going to be above, one below, and I've got a small piece of black veneer to break up the Osage orange from top and bottom of that piece like that. So when that's turned down, you'll be able to see a clear definition between the 7s and that top line. The bottom one, I'm not going to worry about that because in the actual picture of the guitar, it does not have that. It's all painted as one piece. So I'm not concerned with that right there as I would normally. So now I'm just going to take these small pieces of ebony here like this, and I need to sand off these corners in order to get this in here like that, and all the way around above and below, and then I need to cut some more Osage orange to fit in between, and then do the same thing for the middles and on both sides. Then after I get all those pieces cut, we will come back. Okay, getting a little ahead of myself over here. Started gluing it together, and it's just coming together slowly into pieces. I've got a little piece of veneer right there breaking up the color from the ebony and the Osage orange. I've cut these little pieces like this. A lot of finessing with the disc sander to get that in there like that. And then this other one's going to go in here. And then I'm just going to flood that with some thin CA. And then it'll end up looking just like this side right here. And then I'll just put some ebony in the middle. And then I think we are pretty much done with that. Not trying to get exactly like the picture, just getting an inspired look of what that is going to look like, and it should look really good. All right, so that is our lower, and or excuse me, that is our upper, and a lot of work to get to that point right there. This is the bottom of that. So if we put both of those together, that should look pretty cool. It should give me the flavor of what I'm looking for. And you see how that grain is going to match up on the backside. And the next thing to do now is just to drill that out and trim up the ends and turn it. Okay, we're back, ready to turn this. As you can see, I've got the orientation correct on the bottom of the blank, so that grain lines up, and there is the top of the blank right there. So got the speed turned up on the lathe, and we are finally to the point where we get to turn. Okay, so for the upper, go ahead and just put that on there like that. I want to put the clip probably just on the Osage orange side. That way I don't cover up any of that on each end. Okay, so let's assemble this. I just want to put the clip right in the middle of that Osage orange on the back, so that way I'm not covering up any of that detail. And so this is the transmission side right here. And I want to be sure that the transmission is on the correct side from the previous Rickenbacker pen I made. So that looks good. So the tip obviously goes on the opposite side. Okay, let's see here. There. It's getting bound up inside for some reason. And that works like you would expect. And let's snap that together. And it's a little offline because this is 2 pieces and then this is broken up in 3. That's why that doesn't quite look right, but it looks good. Other than that, it's not out of balance. It's just the way the design came out. So anyway, you can see the 3 7s here on the front, nice and predominantly. That ebony fretboard looks really good with that aqua pearl. So I think it actually looks better than the straight rosewood. And with that titanium kit, I think it really complements it very well. So if you like it and you're a Stryper fan, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Leave us a comment. It really helps out the channel. And thanks. Have a good day. Hey, this is Gabriel Castro. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. You can click on the link right here and subscribe. You can watch a video series right here or the latest video right here.